Well, it's around time before we introduce the panel. This is another case study that we invited down the crowd to be just again, kind of a real world application type of approach after having so many great discussions. I thought we'd have a good example of how we actually pull it off. So, there you go.
All right, thank you. Well, good morning. My name is Scott Heim. I'm the president of Middleby's Ventless Cooking Solutions. I'm also lucky enough to lead a cross-functional, cross-brand team with Middleby that focuses exclusively on the ghost kitchen selling segment. This panel is a little bit different, where I've worked with Ralph Goldbeck from Kitchens to Go, I've worked with Jonathan with Richmore Real Estate, and just recently kicked into gear, high gear, with Flower with Ghost Kitchen brands. So what I'm going to do is turn it over to the team here to introduce themselves, and I've got a few opening comments to set the stage for this panel session. So Ralph?
Well, thanks, Scott. Good morning, everybody. I'm Ralph Goldbeck with Kitchens to Go by Nicole Mazur. Kitchens to Go builds containerized, mobile, and modular kitchen facilities. We build those for ghost kitchens, of course, that's why we're here, and also for interim kitchen solutions. We built our first food truck almost 40 years ago, so as Steve said, everything old is new again. So we're happy to be here.
Jonathan?
I'm Jonathan Richardson with Bricks and Mortar Property Group. We are a publicly traded REIT. We have just over 400 shopping centers, grocery-anchored shopping centers across the country. I'm a part of their specialty leasing team. I represent Bricks and Mortar national level, and our team's goal is to drive as much revenue for the company on an ancillary basis. And so we've been working with food trucks, ghost kitchens for the last 18 to 24 months.
Thank you. Mark?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. My name is Mark Choi. I'm the president of Ghost Kitchen Brands. I just want to say thank you to Peter and Ian for organizing this conference. And a lot of times we get focused on what we're doing. We don't have a chance to hear about the industry. So very happy to meet some people this week, share some ideas, and learn a little bit more about, again, what everybody else is doing. For those of you who don't know Ghost Kitchen Brands, we own a network of ghost kitchens all across North America. Some of the things that make us different than some of the other models you might see here are we operate each kitchen. So we do everything from investing in capital to the operations, and if those kitchens don't make any money, we don't make any money. So we're the full service operator of all our kitchens. As well, we don't have any of our own brands. We've partnered with national brands to try to scale our business model. A lot of the brands that we deal with, you've seen here today or yesterday, everything from Nathan's Hot Dogs, the Bob Allen, Focus Brands, Quiznos Sours, those are the kind of partners that we would like to work with. And then lastly, we like to think we've extended the ghost kitchen model. Not only do we do delivery, but we've taken our business model to be convenient to consumers wherever they might be. And so that means going to retail locations, to grocers, to airports, to hotels. We think our business model is flexible enough that we can open up a ghost kitchen in any of those locations. And again, I don't tend to be the smartest guy in the room, but something that's a little bit different, and it's proven to be very successful for us so far.
Thank you, Mark. Well, as we kick off this panel, and some of you just came in here, we're going to focus on picking the right site selection, as well as looking at the right equipment assortment. And it's not just the food equipment, we're going to get into refrigeration as well. So that's the topic. But I want to at least take a few minutes to set the stage. We've all been here now for a day and a half. We've been hearing about a lot of those kitchens, and there's always been this lingering doubt, it seems, from panel to panel. Is this really a trend? And I want to submit to everybody here, I think we all agree, without a doubt, this is a selling segment that's going to continue to accelerate. All I want to do is make 3 key points. Number one, from the Wall Street Journal, over the past 5 years, food delivery is up over 300% faster than in-room or in-restaurant dining sales. And this is even before COVID, so this acceleration was only fueled by COVID. That's number one. Number two, the U.S. market alone, and this holds the whole conference has been pretty well focused on the U.S., but the U.S. market, 50% of households have ordered for home delivery. And we saw in the very first presentation with Black Box that the 25 to 34-year-olds are doing this all the time. We are setting the behavior. It's not going to slow down. The convenience is there, the food safety is there, so it's going to continue to fuel the whole ghost kitchen selling segment. And the third one, I can't tell you how many fun conversations I've had during the breaks, during the lunch, during the cocktail area, of emerging chains that are eager to pick new markets, new demographics, but they have to mitigate the financial risk. So what the ghost kitchen allowed them to do, pick that expensive site in New York and get it to go. It's not just the US, we'll talk about international in a minute as well. So I just submit to all of you, does anyone here have any doubts about the ghost kitchen selling segment and the fact that it's going to continue to accelerate? And I see the heads nodding in agreement and no. So at this point, let's get into the first of 5 questions. Let's talk about site selection. Picking that right area. We've got an interesting twist today with Jonathan, so I want to start with Brixmor Real Estate. 400 locations in the US. What makes this interesting for Brixmor in terms of site selection of those stations?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we own grocery anchored shopping centers, so they remain essential even through the pandemic and even through retail trend changes. People are always going to go to the grocery store. So we found it successful to have these mobile ghost kitchens that you can put them in the back of the center. Easy to find for your delivery drivers, but we can also put it in the front of the center if you want a branded food truck or mobile kitchen for customers to drive up, and it's just great brand awareness. And most of our, actually all of our centers are in prime markets. So yeah.
Good. Well, let's go to you, Mark, and talk about site selection as well. And yesterday we heard George talk about the staggering growth with the ghost kitchen locations in Walmart. So what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, certainly, one of the things we don't lack is we don't lack ambition, and so we want to open up 1,000 stores over the next 18 months. And so to do that, we're looking for all types of locations, standalone locations, with retail partners. At the end of the day, I think what we offer consumers is convenience. And originally with ghost kitchens, the industry, it was convenience for people at home, through third-party delivery, so that they can get whatever they want. But certainly we've seen the demand from our consumers expand beyond that, and they want convenience wherever they might be. So if they're traveling, then they want convenience in an airport. If they're shopping, they want convenience inside of Walmart. If they're, wherever, there's still demand for food. And so when we look for real estate, now we want a lot of walking traffic. It's not just limited to delivery. We want to be out in front of consumers, high traffic areas where we're very visible. Where obviously selfishly we can build our own brand and our own brand name, but at the same time, we think we offer a great convenience package for our consumers and for whoever our retail host is as well. We've seen lots of locations where we drive traffic to our host because people are coming just for our brands. And so it's a good partnership because our host brings traffic, and at the same time we bring a different type of traffic. But certainly we're open to looking at any type of location, be it again, college, hospitals, business, travel, wherever there's consumers, we think we have something we can offer.
Focusing on site selection, Ralph, let's talk about going beyond the US, this global perspective, because we know this is not just for the US, it's international. So what are some of your thoughts on the global aspects?
Yeah, it's part of our business is international, so we're tied into a number of contacts. And the US has always somewhat lagged behind the rest of the world in the application of technology, and this program with Ghost Kitchens is very similar. People like Deliveroo, are building their own containers in Europe. The shipping container has always been an international component to trade, and now, as we all know, they're making those shipping containers and converting those into kitchen facilities. So the application of the international solutions that we've seen over the years are now starting to make their way back to the US.
And when you think about international, you've got Tiffin Labs in Singapore that's expanding all over Asia and coming to the US. C3 now is looking, and then we haven't really talked about the Middle East. Toby, Catch, and Icon. So the international reach is going to continue. So leaving site, let's talk about equipment. And again, this is a little self-serving. Obviously, I'm middle again, Ventless Cooking Solutions. What I'm holding up here is a section called Climate. It's all about the Wall Street Journal's focus on electrification of everything. This came out on May 17th. What the Wall Street Journal covered here is the stunning change in regulatory environments where gas appliances, gas fuel equipment is starting to get banned by the California Air Resource Board, up in the Bay Area, and even the five boroughs of New York City now are saying, forget it. If you're going to remodel kitchens or new concepts, you have to think about electric. So let's talk about the equipment, and Mark, let's start with you. When you guys look at the rapid expansion, what are you trying to look at when it comes to equipment, and also do you agree with this shift to electric?
Yeah, so, obviously when we have so many stores open, I don't want to be looking at different open packages for each individual store. So one of the things that's important to us is the scale of it. So we want, ideally, every store to be very, very similar. So we want to look for equipment that we know is going to meet the highest standard in every jurisdiction that we're going to. And so certainly if there's new laws in California or New York, eventually they're going to become national, eventually they're going to be more widespread. So everything we build is ideally to the highest standard. And that's where it's important for us to work with a lot of the equipment suppliers and manufacturers, because I don't claim to be an equipment expert. They know the trends of what's coming and what's going to be effective 2 and 3 and 4 years from now. So it's very important for us to, again, to work with partners who understand the market and can help us build a scalable model that's not only cost efficient, but something that we can deploy rapidly all around the world.
And then Ralph, let's shift over to Kitchens to Go. What do you think about the electric regulations and also the equipment selection?
Well, I think the equipment world is finally starting to see such a huge transformation. The food service sector has always been lagging behind the rest of technology. And now we're starting to see, of course, with endless solutions coming out. All electric kitchens are the future. We're seeing locations in California, for instance, Berkeley, California, is outlawed any additional natural gas applications in restaurants. So we will be moving to an all-electric type of footprint. It allows us to do some really exciting things. It minimizes the utility demand and makes that kitchen really more portable and relocatable than it's ever been before. So I think this is a great opportunity for the utilities and for the technology to catch up with where we are in the food service sector. It's interesting, I've heard a lot about companies at the conference being technology companies. And of course, with technology, you have software, you have hardware. And on the equipment side, of course, that's the hardware side of it. And the hardware improvements and advances are starting to catch up with the software teams.
Thank you. Jonathan, with Brixmor and the real estate locations, the pods themselves don't have to be tucked behind the grocery store. Discuss where the pods can go with your sites and also the mechanical and electrical issues that are easy to be addressed in that.
Sure, yeah. We really do pride ourselves in being easy to work with, being creative with the user or the operator. So if the decision is not to go to the back of the center, you guys want to be up front with great visibility, we really try to champion the concept and allow you guys to need to trench through the parking lot to get power to transformer. We allow that. If it's a generator or solar panels or whatever, we try to allow you guys to do that.
Well, yesterday we heard with Brinker, we heard Wade talking about some of the big issues that they're facing as they rapidly expand. And one was packaging. It was a constant issue. But the packaging sort of at the tail end of assembly. And as we keep working with the large ghost kitchen operators, the same pinch points seem to pop up over and over. It's inadequate planning when it comes to refrigeration prep tables, as well as how you get that final meal assembly and get the accuracy rates at a manageable level. There are a couple large operators that I was stunned to hear their average meal inaccuracy rate, what they're trying to target, is 8% or below. But if 8% is the average, what happens in that busy lunchtime hour? That's a disaster. So let's go to the panel, let's talk about refrigeration, prep table space, assembly space, the lessons learned. So let's start with you, Ralph. The pods, the trailers, entry kitchens typically are tighter. What are you seeing as the reoccurring issues that everyone here should be trying to address?
Refrigeration is a major design issue that we deal with on a regular basis. And most of our kitchen solutions are less than 1,000 square feet. So, the last thing you want to do is take a 10 by 10 walk-in and plug it in the back of your ghost kitchen. And so we've done some creative things like taking that refrigeration requirement and maybe sticking it outside the kitchen as an external supply source. And the other part of the ghost kitchen world is you have to plan for the flow of your product, of course. And if you have a mobile application, the codes are going to require you to take that back to a commissary and be thoroughly cleaned and restocked and reset every evening. So the transportation of that portable kitchen from the commissary out to your site and back to that commissary is a big part of the solution. And that's where you really can get your additional dry storage and cold storage back up.
And then Mark, going to you again, the staggering growth that's being planned. What are you guys seeing up in Canada, now you're moving in the US? What do you see as the reoccurring issues and pain points?
Well, I know you guys talked about refrigeration equipment, and certainly we want to make sure that all the equipment we have is both flexible, so we can use it for all our brands. But we're also looking for quality equipment. So for us, all our kitchens are fairly high volume, and all our kitchens are open 24 hours. So there is real no downtime for our operations. So we need to make sure that our equipment is both properly selected to be as flexible as we can to all the brands, and at the same time high quality. Because we're busy at 2 in the morning, we're busy at 2 in the afternoon. We don't have any time to worry about things breaking down or to have service. In our typical operation, walking traffic is busy during the day from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Our delivery period is busy between 7 p.m. and 1 a.m. But it's the overnight crew that's almost the most important crew in our store. Because overnight between 2 a.m. and 10 a.m., that's when you do all the cleaning. That's when you do all the prep. That's when you service all the equipment for the issues. But there is no downtime for us. And so when we design our stores, we need to make everything as efficient and as effective as possible. And then again, as we say, when we choose what we're going to put in, not only do we want to be scalable and cost efficient, but it has to be high quality, because the last thing that we can afford is any sort of downtime. Especially when we talk about taking our business model to retailers, for example. So for customers to come to Walmart and our walking freezer is down, well, that looks bad for everybody. So again, we want to make sure that all our equipment and all our design is the most efficient possible and the best in class.
And how do you react to the comment I just said about the meal inaccuracy target? The number seems low on average, but when you get that lunchtime crunch, that dinner time crunch, those numbers spike. How do you mitigate, or how do you reduce the meal inaccuracies?
Yeah, obviously, operational excellence and execution is always been a focus for us, and we try to have as many double and triple checks before every order goes out. Certainly, our business model has undergone internally a lot of education. When we're preparing meals for delivery, typically we have 10 or 15 minutes before a driver shows up. We have a lot of time to check that order, prepare that order, be ready for that customer. But when we pivot our business model, we try to encourage walking traffic. It's different for the customer. They place that order, they're right there. We don't have 10 or 15 minutes. We need to prepare our order in 2 or 3 minutes. We need to double check it, we need to triple check it, all within a confined time frame. So certainly we talk about accuracy all the time. We have a bunch of emails this morning about different processes in place that we can do, again, to try to bring that number as low as possible. With Google reviews and online reviews, it's certainly become, every time we make a mistake, we hear about it pretty quickly. People are pretty vocal about giving us comments, both good and bad. So certainly everything that we can do in the design of our store to make sure that there's eyes on the product before it goes out is what we want to focus on.
And then, Jonathan, a little bit different twist in the meal inaccuracy refrigeration, but marketing at these sites can be key. We heard yesterday you got to worry about that third-party app that's involved in the marketing. But what can we do with the pods actually in that grocery environment? What are we allowed to do to make the pod a trailer an actual marketing vehicle?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we can be, obviously, the grocers or the anchors have some sort of no-build area. So what we would do as a team is do a thorough research of all the defaults, anything that, no builds or restrictions that we can and can't do. So if we can put them up in front of, close to the street, we're open to that, as long as we're not in default.
And so there's not going to be any issue with the DoorDash, but they have plenty of parking, they can go in there, parking, and even be in the front, not the side or the back.
Correct.
And Scott, these buildings are really fine buildings. So we saw yesterday some of the REIT images, they do some really exciting things with graphics on the exterior data.
And the thing too that we're all happy to hear that more and more of the states have allowed, perhaps because of COVID, for delivery of alcohol. What about the grocery stores? Do they view that as competition, or could that party go ahead and actually do the alcohol like in the pod or in the parking lot?
Yeah, we discovered that in our background checks for the leases to make sure that we were not in default or we weren't competing with them. And as long as they get the proper permitting and if it's not against the law for them to deliver, we're totally cool with it.
Mark?
Yeah, beyond just delivery, alcohol. Obviously, alcohol is a great traffic generator. Everybody likes alcohol, especially at night. It's an easy addition to all our menus. But from our perspective, when we have all our kitchens built out, we consider ourselves a distribution network. And certainly, we like to do food because everybody eats food 2, 3, 4 times a day. We like to do alcohol because people like to drink late at night and work these 24 hours. But certainly for us, anything that we want to inventory, we can distribute, right? And so if we're open 24 hours a day, sure, we're going to do food, but we've had talks about alcohol, cannabis, essential supplies, even sex toys. Someone suggested to us that we inventory those as well. So we can do anything we want because, again, when we have our network, we want to be as convenient as possible for consumers, feeding them whatever they want, whenever they want. Ultimately, with us being open 24 hours a day, our goal is to be a distribution network, able to reach every consumer in every urban market within 30 minutes, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And when we do that, there's nobody else that can say that. Right? So it goes beyond just alcohol. Certainly, we want to add that. But we want to add as many products as we can to reach as many consumers as we can, to be as convenient as we can, wherever they are, whenever they want, at any time of day.
Mark, let's just stay in that convenience. We all know the whole key is to make that delivery as fast as possible in 30 minutes has been the goal established. Even 40 years ago by Domino's, and pizza's going to be there in 30 minutes. We also heard yesterday, as Michael talked about Reef, and it was staggering, a little lunch, that they now have positioned their operations, their pods, they're 5 minutes away from 70% of the U.S. population, which is a stunning number. So when you hear the 30 minutes, what are some of the issues you worry about on new site selection to make it work? Are you looking at the suburban areas are easier because of traffic, but then you get down to the demographic in the urban area? What are you looking at?
Typically our kitchens in place, we have a delivery radius just like everybody else does, and typically like in Canada our kitchens are 12 kilometers an hour, so it's about a 15-minute drive time. In the US it's similar, but certainly that's going to change depending on traffic. And so downtown locations, our stores will be closer to one another, and suburban rural locations will be a bit farther away, right? But for us, we're going to, because we have desire to get walking traffic, we're going to have kitchens all over the place. And all our delivery radiuses are connected to that. For us, that's not a big deal though, because we're going to run them all corporately. So we're not dealing with franchisees competing with each other. We just want the convenience factor there to be for every consumer wherever they are. If it comes from this kitchen or that kitchen, whoever's closer, whoever can deliver faster, whoever can be more accurate, is all we're after. So again, we just want to go wherever those consumers.
And stated the site and locations, not even with most of the 400 locations, are they higher in suburban areas or are they urban?
Higher end suburban areas, and that's the advantage of placing them at grocery anchored centers. Is that take for instance Atlanta, we've got about 25 centers, and all of those driving time radiuses overlap. So if the goal is to get 15 minutes within 1,000 homes, we're there.
The advantage I've had again with this panel working with them, with Brixmore Real Estate, we had an emerging chain that was very intrigued because they wanted those higher end suburban locations. That's where they think they're going to make mom say, I want the pizza for the kids, but I want sushi for myself. The husband wants the burger. So do you see yourself, you guys will be adding other locations as well, or are you just focusing on filling out the 400 you have right now?
We're acquiring centers all the time, so we're definitely adding to our portfolio.
And then Rob, the same thing as well. As you start, we work together with that same emerging training. What do you see in terms of the timeline and where you can put the pods and what the advantages are?
Well, when you start with those kids, you have the choice of occupying an existing brick and mortar location or doing something that prefabricated modular container or building. And of course, location is important. And when you have a factory-built building and the location's not key or good, you pick it up and move it. So you can essentially take that asset and reapply it somewhere else. So I think that gives you a great deal of flexibility.
And then talking about speed and how the market's evolving, we know that all kinds of supply issues with metal, stainless steel in particular. What's the timeline right now? Let's say there's a customer here in the audience that wants to work with patients and develop. What's the timeline for the planning and launch?
Oh, the shortage of materials is a challenge for everyone. I think that's starting to relax a little bit. But the process is really about 12 to 14 weeks to fabricate a relocatable modular unit once you get the approvals. So it's a fast process. And the great thing about it is you can do really concurrent activities. You can do site development while you're building the building. So you can open up 40% faster and start to generating revenue 40% sooner.
Thank you. Well, we're getting to the very last question, closing overall aspect. And I want this to tie into my opening comments about where the ghost kitchen selling segment is going. So Mark, let's start with you. What are your overall prospects and expectations with those kitchens? Obviously with George and your team, it's going to be growth. What else are you thinking about?
Yeah, we talk about opening kitchens. We want to spread them all over the market to be able to reach every consumer. But we have such a large portfolio of brands that we can't fit them all into one sort of kitchen. So we may have a second malt ghost kitchen, a third malt ghost kitchen where we have different brands, where they're near each other, but they're not really competing with their because they have different brands. Beyond that, again, we just want to make sure that we offer convenience and that we're innovative and we're always coming up with new ideas. And so, whatever I've talked about today, if we talk again in 3 months or 4 months, it'll certainly be different because I think the industry is evolving so quickly and there's so many new ideas. There's a lot of things that we don't know that we don't know. And so we just want to make sure that we're talking to people, learning about new trends, talking to new brands, always coming up with the newest and latest and greatest, because I think that's what our consumers want, that's what our landlords want, and that's what all our brand partners want, is to continue to evolve and move forward with the industry.
Thank you. Jonathan, sort of twist back not just expectations, but with Brooksmore and the actual grocery partners we've got, back to Ralph's comment on speed, if we were to go into your 400 locations, are there any limitations in terms of worrying about the electrical or plumbing, or can that all be done very quickly with your team?
Yeah, it can be done very quickly, and like I said earlier, prior ourselves being creative to really get you guys up and running quickly. Our agreement process, if you guys are okay with termination rights, we can get you guys an agreement within a week. But if you guys want longer term, hard term, it can take a little bit longer because we do this research on leases. But speed market, we can absolutely assist in that.
Thank you. And then Ralph, closing comments, the strength of our partnership is great, so I have an idea where you're going with it. Let me open it up. What do you think is going to be happening with the selling segment to close out our panel?
Well, I think it's all about speed market. Everybody here is interested in getting out and serving the customer, and so having flexible solutions is a big part of that solution. So we're excited to see some of the technology that's hitting our industry, all the way from new equipment design with endless technology, the way that we're building modular buildings. I shared with Scott yesterday that the way that we build buildings is like GM delivering all parts for your car in your driveway and building it in your driveway.